Hello, good evening. I'm Meenakshi Banerjee. I'm a postgraduate English teacher, and today I shall explain you the poem The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Now, this particular poem, which is also considered an autobiographical poem by Robert Frost, where he talks about the kind of choices that we come across in our lives on everyday basis, and most often we casually strike our choices. I mean, the list of choice is innumerable, and we end up making random choices sometimes conscious choices, sometimes very thoughtful, deliberate choices. But the entire life of a person is drafted by his choices. So here, Robert Frost, he talks about he talks about a traveler's experience in the forest. It is a first-person narrative poem, so he himself is the traveler. The poet himself is the traveler, and in a yellow wood means autumn-clad wood, and he comes across two diversion of roads in that particular forest, and his journey from there. So these are not roads; these are his choices or his options, career options that he shall be choosing eventually, and where each option shall land him as a traveler. So we are all travelers in this life, and we all come across choices, like the poet as a traveler in the yellow wood. So let's go ahead in the poem. I shall try my best to explain you. The first line, two roads diverged in a yellow wood. The poet means to say that he is a traveler in a yellow wood. He is going across a yellow wood, means autumn clad wood. The yellow is the color of the season autumn, depicts beautiful color imagery in the line. Okay, the two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And here the poet expresses in line 2 his inability to travel both these roads, because he is one physical entity, so he cannot possibly travel two roads at the same time. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, and thereupon he stands in at his place in the yellow wood, and he looks down at the diversion of the two roads, and he looks down at the first road. First he concentrates on the first road, and he looks down at the first road as far as he could, means as far as his eyes could take him. To where it bent in the undergrowth means to where the first road transforms into bushes and shrubs. That means there's optical limit the poet is talking about. That means our eyes can view to a certain extent. Okay, so when the poet is looking ahead into the first road, he could see the first road eventually transforming into bushes and shrubs, and that is where he could actually see the first road. Okay, now in line 4 and 5, I'm talking about the poetic devices. Line 4 and 5, as far as I could, as is poetic device repetition. The word as is repeating. Line 5, okay, as it bent to where it bent into the undergrowth means the road transforms into bushes and shrubs. Line 6, and then took the other just as fair. And the poet says, then he turns his concentration, then he turns his focus, or he turns to view the second road. He turns to view the second road. Just as fair means just he's trying to be equally fair in his perception of the second road. It is not that he is paying greater attention to the first road and paying less attention to the second road. He's paying equal attention to the second road, just as fair. Okay, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. And now at once when he looks into the second road, the poet finds the second road quite adaptable. Like he feels that he can go ahead with the second road. He finds a greater claim over the second road. He finds a greater command of the second road. He feels that the second road instantly is for him, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. And why does he feel that the second road he can share a better claim over? Because it is grassy, because it is lush green grass. Okay, it is oozing the freshness of the morning. It's lush green grass. And wanted weir is Old English for it seems to be less tired. The second road seems to be less tired or less stressed out because less number of people have traveled upon it. So it is a road less traveled. It's a road less traveled. The second road. Okay. So wanted weir is poetic device alliteration. Though as for the passing there had warned them really about the same. And when it comes to the question, the poem in line 9th and 10 tells you that as far when it comes to the question of passing on these two roads, or when it comes to the question of traveling on these two roads, then it would create an amount of exhaustion which is equally about the same, means it's going to create the similar amount of exhaustion or tiredness if on both the roads, like either of these two roads, the traveling won't be easier on any one of them. They are going to create same amount of exhaustion, same amount of tiredness when it comes to the question of traveling on both these roads. Okay, line 11. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trod in black. Now line 11 and 12, the poet is explaining the condition of these two roads on that particular morning. He says that both these two roads on that particular morning, they looked absolutely fresh and beautiful and not trampled over. In leaves no step had trodden black means this poetic device inversion, because the normal sequence of words have been played upon to take greater attention from the readers. So in leaves no step had trodden black means line 12, it means that particular morning both the roads were in fresh leaves of grasses, and they did not seem to be smashed underfoot. The grasses did not seem to be trampled underfoot, so they were not trampled or stamped black with the footprints of any traveler. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Now line 13, the poet is declaring his choice of the two among the two roads. So he says he's discarding the choice of the first road. He says, oh, I kept the first for another day means he's declining the choice of the first road and he's landing onto the choice of the second road. So he says, I leave the choice of the first road for some other time, some other time, and I'm going ahead with the second road. Now this is how we usually accept or decline choices in our daily life, in our life, because we never go straight saying that I don't want this particular choice, I don't want this particular option. We say that, oh, we're going to do this some other time. So it means to say he for now he's going ahead with the second road and he's keeping the first road for some other time, some other opportunity. Okay, yet knowing how way leads on to way, and in his mind, line 14, in his mind the poet well understands the fact that when we go ahead with a particular choice in our life, there are lesser chances for us to get back to the old set of choice. So he knew in his mind that how one way in life connects to other ways, that's other subsequent ways and choices ahead in our future. So we usually do not get a choice to get back to our old choices. I doubted if I should ever come back. Line 15. Line 15, the poet means to say that I doubted. I always rested in a self-doubt that though I kept the first for another day, but in his mind he knew that if ever he should get an opportunity to get back to his old choice in the yellow wood that day, if at all he'll get back to the choice of the first road any other time. Okay, so these are beautiful lines. Line 16, I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Now line 16 and 17, the poet is preparing himself in a self-explanatory manner to answer the future generation, how he should be explaining his choice in the yellow wood that day to his future generations. Okay, so he says that from now, from ages and ages hence means from now I'm going to be saying this in a very sentimental manner. With a sigh, with a sigh explains his sentimentality. The sigh, the deep sigh that he's talking about, it is an expression of sentiments, his nostalgia, deep nostalgia, when he's recollecting the memory of the choices that he struck, the choice that he struck in the yellow wood that day, and that has made him an acclaimed poet. So he says, I shall be explaining to my future generation with a deep, with deep sentiments, with a deep sigh, from ages and ages hence means ages and ages from now. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. Okay, he is going to take the claim of declaring that he's going to narrate his future generation about the two roads that he came across in the yellow wood, and he's going to reclaim the choice of the second wood, the choice of the second road that he struck in the yellow wood that day. I took the one less traveled by. So he's trying to, he's trying to resonate his choice, that he takes pride in declaring that he's proud of, of the choice that he made in the yellow wood that day, of reclaiming the second road and trying, and deciding to travel upon it. And I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Line 20th, the last line, the final line in the poem. And that has made all the difference is also a singular line in itself, because the poet here talks about the fact that the second road that he chose in the yellow forest that day has made a world of difference in his career craft, has made a world of difference in establishing him as a successful poet eventually in the line of his career, in his chosen field. So we are a product of our choices, he means to say. So the choice of the second road has made him a successful poet, for which we eventually understand and know this poet Robert Frost, and we are so so happy and so overjoyed to read his poems. So that has made all the difference, means his choice in the yellow wood that day has helped him become an eminent poet. So here we are done with the poem, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I think I've done justice to my explanation. So if at all you have any doubts, do write it down in the comment box. I'm going to try to the best of my ability to answer your questions. Thank you so much for listening me out. Bye-bye.